Well, hey there, speech students. My name's John, and I'm one of the full-time librarians at the Eastern Campus. And this video is just going to give you a quick introduction on using the library's resources to find materials for your either informative or persuasive speeches. So, your starting point is going to be the library website. And to do that, you're just going to do a Google search for Tri-C Library, click the link, there's the library website. The advantage of doing this is, if you're at home or anywhere off campus, when you click your first resource, it's going to ask you for your S number and password, and after that, you're logged in until you close the window. If you try using My Tri-C Space, eventually it'll time out, and when that happens, your access to the library resources might also time out. So this is your safest bet. Now, if we look at your assignment really quick, there are a few requirements. You need 4 sources, at least. They should ideally be 5 years old or newer. You need to be able to put them on a references page, and you're looking at a speech that's 4 to 6 minutes long. So that's something to keep in mind, because if you're thinking 4 to 6 minute speech, things like magazine articles or encyclopedia articles work really well for short presentations. You don't want to cram a 350-page book into a 4-minute speech. So, think about your sources as you move along. So, let's take a look at the library website. You're going to want to go into the research guides. And once you're there, you're just going to go into Communication Studies and open up the General Communication Studies Guide. So once you're here, there are a lot of different sources that you can use. Don't have to use all of them. But let me start you off with one of the best resources for an informative speech. So when we're talking informative, it's just a factual overview of your topic. When you're looking at persuasive, you're presenting something in a way that might change someone's mind. So informative would be, I'm going to tell you how a pistol works. Persuasive would be, we need to change handgun legislation in America. Informative would be, here's how the Electoral College works. Persuasive would be, the Electoral College isn't the best way to elect a president. Here's my alternative. But if we're just looking for straight up factual information, Credo Reference is a great starting point. I usually describe this to people as the okay version of Wikipedia, because everything in here was originally a print encyclopedia or dictionary, so you don't have to worry about, oh, who wrote this? Oh, who edited it? So let's go ahead and take a look at this. And if you're at home, at that point you would have been asked to log in with your S number and your password. But since I'm already here, let me give you a quick example. So as you start typing, it starts guessing what you're looking for. If it does that, you can just click the thing that you want. And right now you're looking at any article from any date of any length. So if you want to look through here and maybe you find this thing is 10 years old. So when you actually get in there, you'll see that it's from 2010. If this is the best thing you could possibly hope to find, send your professor a link to it, say, I know it's older than 5 years, can I use it? If you just want to start with a list of 5-year-old resources, you can go up to all dates, say, show me stuff from 2016 to 2020, and once it's added that, I'm just going to go in and say plus 2015. So there's my 5-year span. You'll also see that these are various lengths. If you see something that's 1,500 words or 3,000 words long, don't let it worry you. Print it out, that's maybe 4 pages long. So 3,000 words is actually pretty decent length. To read any of these, you're just going to click the link. This line down here just tells you the book that link is from. So once we're in here, 1,500 words, long enough to be useful, not so long that you want to run away from it. If you decide to use something like this, you'll need the citation, so you just go up here, click citation, and there's your APA references thing. So you just copy it, paste it onto your references page, easy peasy. You can also print from here, tell the thing to read itself out loud to you if you're multitasking, so it's a pretty cool resource. Now, one thing that I do want to make sure that you know about is that sometimes when you're doing research on a topic, you may be thinking of one term when, the official term for it or the phrase that most authors use is something else. So if I say fracking, it says hydraulic fracturing, and that's because hydraulic fracturing is the official term for fracking. So if you start doing research and you're not finding as many things as you think you should, see if you can track down another term for the word you used. So that's the quick and dirty version of Credo Reference. There are also other options out there. So Very Short Introductions is a book series that we have available online. When you search in there, so each one of these icons here is the cover of the book that they found my term in. So the number here is the chapter within the book. So Chapter 5, Presidential Elections, Nominating Campaigns and General Elections, is inside American Political Parties and Elections. So when I click that chapter, it's going to highlight where within that book my term shows up. So sometimes this might be meh useful, sometimes it's going to be really useful. It just depends on what your topic is. So if you need to get a citation for anything in here, the good news is that it does give you the material for the citation, but it doesn't give you the option to generate an APA citation. So my advice here is, if you use something from Very Short Introductions, open up the Purdue OWL and find the section where it says a chapter from a book. It gives you all the information you need here. You just need to put it in the right order. All right, so moving on. There are a few other ebook sources that you can use. So for example, Overdrive is another one. To look for a topic in here, you're just going to click search and then type in your topic. So many years ago when I was in college, I had a classmate that did his informative speech on Islam. And, here, understanding world religions in 15 minutes a day. So that might be something that you'd want to use. So you can either read part of it to get an idea about whether you want to use it, or you can just borrow it from here and read it on your computer screen, or you can download it to your phone. All right, and the last thing I'll show you is the Ebscohost ebook collection. So, same sort of deal. It gives you the option of searching, various topics and subjects. So, if I just stick with the same thing I've been using here. So, one of the books here is Why Do We Still Have the Electoral College? And the cool thing here is that you can look at the table of contents for this book and get an idea about what part of this book would make the most sense for you to use. Because again, you probably don't want to read the whole thing. But, this national popular vote, this national popular vote is actually one of the alternatives that people are suggesting for the Electoral College. If you wanted to look at the Electoral College primer, keep in mind that some of these things are a little on the old side, so you can either adjust the date of publication, or you can talk to your professor. All right, so that covers pretty much all the ebooks that we have available, but the good news is there are magazines and things like that too. So if we go over to this Articles tab, so a lot of different material in here as well. The thing I'm going to show you first is opposing viewpoints in context. So you can use this for an informative presentation, but this resource is really designed for either doing a persuasive paper or speech. So you'll see here that there's this thing that says Browse Issues. when you click that, here's every issue that they have coverage on. So if you were going to look at, say, oh, I don't know, I'll try and find something fun here. Okay, nuclear weapons. So the way that this thing works is that the featured viewpoints and the viewpoints are specific arguments that fall under the umbrella of nuclear weapons, but each one is a little bit different. So, you know, for example, America must reduce its nuclear arsenal and guarantee limits on the use of nuclear force. There's probably going to be a viewpoint in here that says a nuclear arsenal keeps America safe. So some of these are going to argue and disagree with each other. You're going to have other boxes that are academic journal articles, magazines, statistics, all kinds of different material. So to read any of these, all you need to do is just click on the title. There's the article, and if you need to get a citation for this, all you're going to do is just scroll down to the bottom, say, give me an APA 6th edition citation, copy paste. All right, so let me take you out of there. So up next, we've got Academic Search Complete, and compared to our other resources, this has a few more bells and whistles, but nothing to be afraid of so far. So the boxes up here let you separate the terms that you're going to use into keywords, because databases don't speak in sentences like you and I. You know, if I typed an entire thesis statement into this box, it wouldn't return anything because it doesn't understand what I'm saying. But, you know, if I was going to try and persuade you that we need to get rid of the Electoral College and, you know, do some sort of reform to pick a better way of voting. So the Electoral College is a thing. So I could say reform, and I could just start with that. So basically what this is saying is, hey database, find this term and that word in an article. So if I just say search, there are 151 results. Now, if I had just said, show me anything on the Electoral College, my number's way bigger. So being picky and being specific up front here can really save you a lot of time. All right, so these things also date back to 1934. So to update this to the last 5 years, you just click and hold down on that bar and slide it on over. So let me get this to 2015 specifically. All right, so 36 articles, which is way better than 1,500. I also want to make sure that I'm saying show me full text articles. That guarantees that what's left on the screen are things that I can actually read and print. And it also tells me that there are 18 magazines and 7 academic journals. So periodical translates to it's a magazine, and academic journal translates to it's an academic journal. So here's the deal. Anytime that you see an academic journal, you always want to look over here and see the page count. This thing is 21 pages long. It might be a great resource, and if you're okay with reading 21 pages, go for it. But generally speaking, magazine articles are going to be a lot shorter. So again, with a 4 to 6 minute speech, magazines might be a good choice. At the end, it's up to you. So, to decide whether this is a good source or not, click the title. That is going to give you an abstract. In other words, it kind of sums up what the article talks about. This is not a replacement for reading the entire article. It's a really good resource to let you know whether the whole thing is worth your time to read. Think about movie trailers. You watch the trailer to decide whether or not to watch the movie. So it's not a replacement for seeing the whole thing. So if I look at the abstract and go, this thing's awesome, I click the PDF full text link, there's the article, If I need a citation for this, I just go over here and click this yellow piece of paper that says Cite, and I just scroll down to the APA section. There's my APA citation, copy-paste. All right, so let me just take you back to the result list here. If you find anything that says HTML full text, it's just going to look a little different. The content is absolutely fine to use. If you see something that says full text finder, that just means that the article isn't immediately available, but it gives you breadcrumbs to follow. So from here, I just click this hyperlink breadcrumb thing, and it takes me to where the full text of the article does live. So there's my PDF. If I click it, whole thing opens up. All right, so back to the result list here. So, when it comes to a magazine article, those are usually going to be really good at, finding persuasive information. Informative speeches, you usually want to stick with things like your encyclopedias, your books, stuff like that. Magazine articles and academic journals, usually a little more persuasive. One way that you can try to make this give you more descriptive information is by changing the keyword. So if I just wanted an overview of the Electoral College, I can tell this thing to find me articles that have that word in there. In this particular case, nothing shows up. But there are ways that you can try and finesse stuff like this. All right, so the other thing that I will show you here is that Academic Search Complete is just one of the databases that Ebscohost makes. If you start doing research and you're just not finding that many resources, if you click Choose Databases, here are all the other resources we have. So you don't need to look through all of these, but if you're doing something about education, well, we've got 3 education databases. So 1, 2, 3. If you're looking at something environmental, we have, where did it go? Greenfile, which is an environmental studies type of resource. If you're looking at something related to people, SocIndex is nothing but sociology. So if Academic Search Complete isn't giving you what you're looking for, we do have other places to look. And the last thing I'll show you, if we just go back to Google, you want to make sure when you're doing research in Google, especially for persuasive speeches, that you're using, good quality material, because there are going to be just a lot of people out there that really like to put up their opinion without necessarily backing it up. So, for example, if I were to say, gun control legislation. So I'm going to go past the things that say that they're ads. So National Public Radio is sort of a middle-of-the-road type resource when it comes to being, left or right. But there are going to be things in here that are pretty right-leaning or pretty left-leaning. And if you use one, you want to make sure that you use something from both sides. Ideally, using something that's straight down the middle is a good idea. And one place to find that information is a website called allsides.com. So if you go to the Media Bias tab here and say, show me the list, it'll actually tell you if the website that you're on is super liberal, super conservative, or going straight down the middle. Okay, so if we just go back here for a second, the other thing that you can do when you're looking at website results is if you click on a website, you can make sure that you just go down to the bottom and find the About section. So the Institute for Legislative Action is the lobbying arm of the NRA. So you can be pretty sure that this is going to be slanted toward, firearms and the Second Amendment protections. So the other option is you can always click About to find out more information about that website. So your other option when you're looking at this page is you can also force Google to only show you certain kinds of websites. So after you've done your search, if you type site:.gov, now all of the resources left are .gov websites. If you say site:.edu, all of the resources left are .edu websites. So it's a way to try and, make the better quality stuff kind of float toward the top. And you can do this with .orgs, .coms, .whatevers. Just be aware that if you do limit it to .orgs, you're going to get some awesome resources like think tanks. You're also going to get very liberal or very conservative organizations as well. So if you're looking at .orgs for, kind of controversial topics, make sure that you look at the About Us section of those websites. All right, so to get a citation for a website, there's a thing out there called Son of Citation Machine. So if you just open it up there, citationmachine.net. Now, this has lots and lots of ads. Most of your citation generators at this point do. But if you say, I need to make a citation for a website, and let me just go ahead and copy a URL, throw it in there. And then we're just going to go ahead and say cite and continue. So this takes the information from the website, puts it in order, and then we're just going to go ahead and say complete my citation. And right now this is in APA 6th edition. If you need to change it, you can, but there we go. So this just gives you something that you can then copy and put in your works cited page, or references page if you're using APA. So hopefully this gives you a good introduction to, the kinds of resources that are here. But the last thing that I'll show you is if you do have questions, librarians are still available to help. So you can chat with us live, you can call us, email us, or you can schedule an appointment for more one-on-one assistance. So if you're finding too much stuff, not enough stuff, or if you're just having a hard time finding material for the topic that you picked, and maybe you want to switch your topic, reach out to us, let us know. We're still here to help. All right, good luck.